Hello there, I'm Rylan. If you have a home media server for your movies or a file server, then having a VPN can be very beneficial for you. With the VPN, you can remotely access that file server or home media server or anything else on your network without having to expose it, making it available for hackers to try and exploit. Before I show you how to create one, let me quickly tell you how a VPN actually works. Imagine a VPN as if it was a middleman in a mailing service. You can send your letter from point A and then it makes it to the middleman and then the middleman sends it to point B. That's what a VPN is. It takes all of the letters, all the data that you have, and then resends it, forwards it from the origin to the VPN, then to the destination. This makes the letters appear as if it originated from the middleman, the VPN server, but in reality, it originated from where you were, point A. Now, because of this concept, this is why some VPN companies say that you can connect to UK Netflix with our service. If you use a VPN that's located in the UK, then let's say my origin is the United States, so point A, and that middleman is the UK now, the server that's in the UK. So it goes from point A to the middleman to point B, which is Netflix. And Netflix sees that, oh, this request is coming from the middleman, the server within the UK. So let's serve them UK content. In this video, I'll be going over how you can set up a VPN server from your home. Although if you wanted to make your middleman, your VPN server in another country, you can follow the same steps and set up a server with a hosting provider such as downlaod, which is what I use, and select where you want the VPN to be, where you want the middleman to be. And you can follow along with this video still if you plan on doing that, because it's pretty much the same process. There are going to be some things that you want to know beforehand, and that is that you are going to be limited, your device, when it is connected to the server, is going to be limited by the maximum upload speed of where the VPN server is. So for example, my internet service provider caps me out with my plan at 20 megabits per second. That means that when I send it data, and then it sends that data to the destination server, it sends that data that I need back to the server, and then the server, the VPN server, needs to upload the data back to me. Now this caps my download speed of where I am to 20 megabits per second, because that's the cap of the upload speed for where the VPN server is located. Now you're going to need a Linux server. Now this can be bare metal, it can be virtualized, or it even can be a Raspberry Pi. In fact, the software that we are using is designed to work on the Raspberry Pi particularly, but we can use it on pretty much anything. Now preferably you should use an Ethernet cable to hook up your server to the internet, because if you use Wi-Fi, that'll add a little bit of latency to your connection. The software we're going to be using is called PiVPN. It's designed to use either one of two different VPN protocols. One is OpenVPN and the other one is Wireguard. There are reasons to choose one or the other. However, unless you have a specific use case, I'd recommend that you use Wireguard because it's just simply faster. Although I'll link this Reddit thread in the description that goes over the advantages and disadvantages to each one. And you're more than welcome to read that and make the decision for your own on which one you want to use to set it up. Let's hop into creating a VPN. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use ESXi to create a server. It's going to be a command line Ubuntu server, whatever the latest version is, which I believe is 24.02. And you can use something like a Raspberry Pi and have a Raspberry Pi imager, or you can use bare metal. As long as you have a Linux machine, you should be good. So I got the VPN all set up now, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and open up a terminal so I can SSH into it. So I made the name Rylan Tech, and you'll set this up during the pretty simple installation process. And the IP address is 192.168.1.23, I believe. Yep. First thing we're going to want to do is update the system. So here, I'll make this bigger so y'all can see it. Sudo apt update and sudo apt get upgrade, and we're just going to wait for that to update. Alright, now that it's fully updated, we're going to be pulling up this website, which is pivpn.io, and then we're just going to copy this command right here. I'll also put it in the description for you if you want to do that. Ooh, forgot to copy it. It's kind of important, so paste it in there by right-clicking, and cool, it's updating.
This installer will now transform your Raspberry Pi into an OpenVPN or Wireguard server. So, okay, the PiVPN server is a server so that it needs a static IP address to function properly. Now, I'm going to set that up within the router as well as soon as we get to that later on. This is saying, do we want to just force all IPv6 addresses to go through the VPN as well? We're going to say yes. Don't worry, it's still just going to operate over IPv4. Since we think that you are not using a Raspberry Pi OS, we will not configure a static IP. Again, we're going to set that up later on in a minute. Choose a local user that will hold your OVPN configurations. Yeah, we're just going to use, you're just going to use this one, which is the one I created. And we want WireGuard, that is correct. Now it's asking to use a port, and the default port is 51820. However, I'm using that already, so I'm going to say 51821. Are these settings correct? 51821. We're going to say yes. Now it's asking for a DNS provider, which, you know, there are several services listed here, or you could do a custom one if you'd like to, and then input the IP address yourself. However, we're just going to do quad 9. Now the part with the black box over top is my actual IP address, which is why I have the black box over top. We're just going to hit enter. We're going to want to use that as our public IP address. Now the server keys will be generated, and this will set up the authentication. And this is asking for auto updates and saying you should probably reboot your server every now and then to apply some of these updates. So we're going to say okay, and yes, we want unattended updates. And now we can type in PiVPN add or PiVPN help to do whatever we needed to do. All right, well, let's continue. I strongly recommend that you reboot after the installation. And okay, we're going to do that. System will reboot.
A few moments later.
And I'm in, so we can see everything's working properly. So now we want to type in PiVPN, and that gives us a list of commands that we can do. So uninstall, turn off, remove, QR code, and I'm going to go over this. So PiVPN add, and then type in my password, enter a name for the client. So this is going to be for my Pixel Fold. Alright, and so it automatically set up like the authentication and configuration for it. Now all we need to do now is type in PiVPN. Oh, my mom's calling me. So I'm going to type in PiVPN-QR, and it's going to give you a list of those devices. Now, only use one client device per configuration. So this is Pixel Fold right here. Only use that on one device, at least at one time, because if you use multiple devices on one client, they're going to fight each other over the network connection, and we just won't be able to use it. So I'm not going to show you what my QR is, because that will leak the information of how to connect to this VPN, so I'm going to cancel that. What I am going to show you is the WireGuard app, which you can download on the Play Store or on the App Store. And you can also do this on a desktop too, on a Windows or Mac or Linux. It's available on pretty much any platform. And you can download the app, and there should be a way for you to add a configuration. So here's the app that I have, and there's a plus button. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. What I do from here is click scan QR code, and then once that imports, it would come up as an option here. So I have Ryland Pixel Fold, that is my actual VPN. So once I scan the QR code and import, which is what I'm about to do, I will be making this server my middleman that I was explaining to earlier. By the way, if you see my head tilt that way, it's because I'm looking at myself talking to you, but my camera's right here, so it's a little bit weird. But anyway, let's get to configuring the router. So we're going to go to our router's IP address, which is typically 192.168.1.1, and I'm going to type in my credentials.
Whoa, hold on a second, pause the video. Just to be clear, I'm going to show you how I set this up on my router, but it's going to be very different depending on what router you have. But the two main things you need to search for are IP reservation or static IP, and then also port forwarding. And then you can follow along with how I set it up from there, and it's probably going to be very similar to that. All right, let's get back to it.
So now that I'm in here, I'm going to go to my advanced tab. Then I'm going to go to setup and LAN setup. And you can see here all of my reserved IP addresses. And this is basically the same thing as a static IP. So we're going to go ahead and add a device. And here we can see, actually, it's right there, VPN. Here, I'm going to make this bigger for you. And we're going to select that. And we're just going to keep the IP address the same as what it is, VPN, add. So now the IP address will never change. Next thing we need to do is set up port forwarding. So we're going to go to advanced setup and then port forwarding. So this is all my port forwarding on my network and what's happening with that. So I'm going to add a service, and my router is really weird, so I just select a service name, but then I just change it later. So we're going to add 23 because that's the IP address of the device here that we just set to be static. Add service name already in use, cannot be used twice. Yeah, I was telling you, this is weird. So FTP right here. So HTTP, which is fine, but we just need to change it later. Add, and then we have it here, edit service. We select, and I'm going to change this to VPN test. So this is going to need to be UDP specifically because WireGuard works over UDP. Now, if you use OpenVPN, you can use TCP, but we're just going to select UDP because that's what WireGuard uses. And if we remember correctly, the port was 51821, and we're going to click apply. And now everything should be set up correctly. And if I import the QR code, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and so that y'all can't see that. So now I got the configuration right here. It's the Pixel Fold one. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. And now you can see at the top corner, there is a VPN icon right there. That's the key. That means that now the server is in active use. So now I'm going to try and look up what my IP address is without telling y'all and showing you that and just saying, yes, that's my IP. And it looks like it's not working. So right now, it's just loading continuously when I make a Google search, and that means that the VPN is not working. So I'm going to troubleshoot that and get back to you. Now, if I type in PiVPN-C, it gives me a list of the connections, and that's the virtual IP address right there. And it's saying that it's not connected, which is probably an issue with the configuration. So I'm going to try and giving it the QR code again and see what happens. So I found out that my configuration wasn't the issue, but it was rather that I didn't click apply on the LAN setup portion here where it sets a static IP address for my computers. So that was the main issue, which is weird because it already had 223. Anyway, not the point. However, now it is working. It's connected to the VPN. If I ask Google what my IP address is, it does give my actual IP address, which I'm not going to show y'all. And if I go into my file exploring app, this app, I love it. It's called CX File Explorer. I can have file shares on it, and so I can access my file server, and that's loading here, and boom, there it is, Ryland's storage. And that's how you set up a VPN on your network. Sorry, I had a little bit of trouble at the end there, but it looks like we are good to go. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a like and subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. In my next video, I'm going to be showing you how you can set up a file server yourself, and you can back up your photos from your phone to it, and you just never have to pay for file storage in the future if you use that. And that's why having a VPN to access that remotely is so essential in that process. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope you come back for the next one about the file server. And yeah, have a great day.